She stared at me with those cold eyes and said, "You're not even good enough to meet my parents." At that moment, I felt something break inside me. I had spent months trying to be the perfect boyfriend for Mia. I would pick her up from her classes, bring her favorite iced coffee, listen to her endless rants about friends and work, and even skipped my own plans just to be there for her. But none of it mattered. To her, I was just not enough. I didn't argue. I didn't beg her to stay. I simply nodded, gave her a small smile, and left quietly. For weeks, I felt hollow inside. My friends told me I deserved better, but their words felt empty. Every time I tried to distract myself, her words echoed in my mind like a cruel reminder of my worth. I threw myself into job applications, trying to prove to myself that I could still be someone worthy of respect. After countless rejections, I finally landed a job that seemed too good to be true. A position as a personal assistant to a powerful CEO. The pay was great, the office was grand, and I was determined to make this my turning point. On my first day, I wore my best suit, feeling nervous but excited. As I entered his office, I saw the photos on his desk, family photos. And there she was, Mia, smiling with her parents. My heart stopped for a second as realization hit me. I had just been hired by her father. My mind raced with questions. Did she know? What would happen if she saw me working here every day? Would she finally realize the worth of the man she once thought wasn't good enough? I stood there frozen, staring at the photo frame on Mr. Alvarez's desk. Mia was standing between her parents, smiling like the perfect daughter she always claimed to be. My new boss, the man who just shook my hand and welcomed me to his company, was her father. As he spoke about my tasks for the week, I kept nodding, pretending to focus, but my mind was spinning with a storm of thoughts. Did he know about me and Mia? Did she ever mention me to him? Probably not, if she thought I wasn't even worth meeting her family. Mr. Alvarez seemed like a strict but fair man. His words carried authority, and his presence filled the entire office. I wondered what he would think if he knew how his daughter treated people who truly cared for her. The rest of the day passed in a blur. I organized his meetings, took calls for him, and arranged his documents exactly how he liked them. Every time I glanced at his desk and saw Mia's face smiling back at me, it felt like a stab in my chest, but at the same time, something inside me felt strong. That evening, while I was arranging his files before leaving, Mr. Alvarez suddenly asked, "Do you have a girlfriend, son?" His question caught me off guard. I forced a smile and said, "Not anymore, sir." He just chuckled and nodded, saying, "Focus on your career first. Everything else comes later." As I walked out of his office, his words stayed with me. Little did he know, his daughter was the reason I was standing here today, working under him. And deep down, I wondered what Mia would say when she finally saw me here, no longer the man she dismissed, but someone quietly rising in her own father's world. The next morning, I reached the office early. I wanted to prove myself, to show Mr. Alvarez that hiring me was the right choice. As I set up his meeting notes, I couldn't help but think about Mia again. Memories of her laughing at my small apartment, rolling her eyes at my cheap shoes, calling me too simple for her life. They all came flooding back. Part of me wanted her to see me here, working closely with her powerful father, just so I could watch her reaction. But another part of me still ached with quiet pain. Later that day, while bringing Mr. Alvarez his coffee, I overheard a conversation between him and his secretary. They were talking about Mia's upcoming birthday dinner, a private family gathering at their mansion. My chest tightened. Would I be asked to assist that day? Would I have to see her face to face, acting like a stranger in front of everyone? As I walked back to my desk, the finance head, Clara, stopped me. She was in her late 30s, sharp-eyed, and carried herself with confidence. "You're the new PA, right?" she asked, looking me up and down. I nodded. She smirked slightly. "Good luck surviving Mr. Alvarez. He fires people like changing shirts." Her words sent a shiver down my spine, but I thanked her politely and continued working. By evening, I noticed an email from Mr. Alvarez. He wanted me to attend the birthday dinner to assist with his documents and guest management. My heart pounded so hard I thought I might faint right there. This was it. The moment everything would come crashing together. As I packed my laptop, questions burned inside me. Would Mia pretend not to know me? Would she be embarrassed, angry, or regretful? I wasn't sure, but I knew one thing. I wasn't the same man she left behind. The night of the birthday dinner arrived faster than I expected. I stood in front of the Alvarez mansion, clutching the folder Mr. Alvarez asked me to bring. The place looked like something out of a magazine. Huge gates, expensive cars lined up in the driveway, lights glowing warm and welcoming. My palms were sweating as I walked up the steps. I could already hear soft music and laughter spilling out from inside. When the butler opened the door, I stepped in, trying to look calm even though my heart was hammering. Mr. Alvarez greeted me like I was part of the family. Good you're here. Stay close, I might need you to handle a few things, he said, clapping a hand on my shoulder. I forced a smile, nodding, but my eyes kept scanning the room, half hoping Mia wouldn't notice me yet. Then I saw her, Mia, standing near the grand piano, surrounded by a small group of family friends. She was wearing an elegant dress, her hair pinned up perfectly, laughing that same laugh that once made me feel like the luckiest man alive. For a moment, she didn't see me. But when she did, our eyes locked, and I swear I saw the color drain from her face. She whispered something to her friend, then excused herself, her gaze snapping back to me with disbelief and a hint of panic. I knew she'd come over. I could almost feel the air shift as she took slow, careful steps toward me. My mind raced. What would she say? What would I say? Everything was about to change, and this time, I wouldn't be the one walking away quietly. Mia finally reached me, her eyes wide with shock and her voice trembling as she whispered, "What are you doing here?" I could see her trying to stay calm, glancing around to make sure no one noticed her panic. Before I could answer, Mr. Alvarez called out from across the room. "Son, come here. I want to introduce you to someone important." She froze. Her eyes darted between me and her father. Slowly, I walked away from her and towards Mr. Alvarez, feeling her gaze burning into my back. Standing beside him was a tall man in a dark suit, someone who carried the same intimidating aura as Mr. Alvarez. "This is Mr. Santiago, our business partner," he said, patting my shoulder proudly. "And this," he continued, turning to Mr. Santiago, "is the young man I was telling you about. He's been a huge help since he joined." Mr. Santiago studied me carefully, then smiled. "I've been looking for a new operations manager for our upcoming project. If he's as good as you say, consider him hired." My breath caught in my throat. I wasn't expecting this. From personal assistant to operations manager overnight? Before I could respond, I noticed Mia watching us, her lips parted in shock. Her father wasn't just trusting me with his schedule anymore. Now, I was becoming part of his business empire. I glanced at Mia briefly. Her expression wasn't just surprise anymore, it was fear. Something told me she realized this was no longer about an ex-boyfriend she could dismiss. This was about a man rising right in the middle of her world, and she couldn't stop it. Mia's father beamed at Mr. Santiago's offer, patting my back proudly as if I were his own son. I felt my chest tighten with a mix of pride and disbelief. Just weeks ago, I was a nobody in Mia's eyes, and now her father was ready to place me in a senior position in his company. I could see Mia trying to process what was happening. She stepped closer, interrupting the conversation with a forced smile. "Dad, can I talk to him for a moment?" she asked softly. Mr. Alvarez nodded, distracted by another guest calling him over. Mia grabbed my wrist and pulled me aside, her grip tight and trembling. "What is this? Why are you here? Are you trying to humiliate me?" she hissed, her voice low but harsh. I looked at her calmly. "I'm just doing my job. I didn't even know this was your family until I was hired," I replied, keeping my voice steady. Her eyes welled up with tears, but I couldn't tell if it was anger, fear, or regret. "You can't stay here," she whispered desperately. "Please, my dad can't know about us. He'll think I'm foolish for how I treated you." Before I could answer, Mr. Alvarez returned and placed an arm around my shoulders. "Son, come with me. There's something I need to show you in my office." I followed him down the hallway, feeling Mia's gaze on my back the whole way. His office was large and lined with dark wooden shelves filled with books and awards. He closed the door behind us and turned to me with a serious expression. "I know about you and Mia," he said suddenly. My heart stopped. "I saw the security footage from the lobby weeks ago when you both argued." I asked around and found out everything. My mouth went dry. I didn't know what to say, but he continued. "I've watched you these past weeks. You're hard-working, respectful, and determined. That's what I want for my daughter. I don't care about your past with her. What I care about is your character." I let out a shaky breath, trying to absorb his words. Before I could respond, he gave a small smile. "But there's something else you should know," he said, opening his drawer and pulling out a file. "I didn't just hire you for your skills. I've been diagnosed with early-stage cancer. I need someone I can trust to take care of things if my health fails, someone who understands the real meaning of loyalty and hard work." My mind spun as he placed the file in my hands. It was his will, naming me as his interim operations head in case he stepped down. At that moment, everything clicked. This wasn't just about Mia or my pride anymore. It was about stepping up for a man who saw worth in me when his own daughter couldn't. And as I left his office, Mia stood waiting, tears streaming down her face. For the first time, I saw regret, pain, and helplessness in her eyes, because she realized I had become the man her father trusted with his entire legacy. As I stepped out of Mr. Alvarez's office, file in hand, Mia stood there silently. Her makeup was smudged from crying, and for the first time since I met her, she looked small. She opened her mouth as if to say something but closed it again. I walked past her, and she followed me down the hallway, her heels clicking softly against the marble floor. Finally, she grabbed my arm and whispered, "I didn't know he was sick. I didn't know any of this. Please, can we talk later? I need to explain things." I turned to her, meeting her teary eyes with calmness I didn't even know I had in me. "Mia, there's nothing to explain. You made your choice when you thought I wasn't good enough to even meet your parents. Now I'm here because your father sees what you never did. I'm not angry at you. I'm just done trying to prove myself." She looked away, tears rolling down her cheeks silently. For a moment, I almost felt bad for her. Almost. But I knew better now. I walked back into the dining hall, and Mr. Santiago raised his glass towards me with a nod, silently acknowledging the future deal between us. Mr. Alvarez joined us again, placing a hand on my shoulder with a quiet fatherly pride. Throughout the dinner, Mia barely spoke. She sat there, forcing a smile for guests, but her eyes never left me. I could feel her regret, her pain, her longing to turn back time. But life doesn't work like that. Later that night, as I left the mansion, I looked back at the glowing windows and thought about how far I had come. Just weeks ago, I was heartbroken, thinking I wasn't enough. Today, I walked out of that house with a future brighter than anything I could have imagined. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I finally saw my own worth. I realized people will judge you for what you lack instead of valuing what you bring. But the right people, the ones who truly matter, will always see your worth even when you're at your lowest. As I drove home, the night felt peaceful. I didn't need Mia's validation anymore. I had earned the respect of a man who built an empire from nothing, and for the first time in a long while, I felt proud of myself. This wasn't about proving her wrong anymore. This was about finally believing I was right about me all along.